Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Code for Tech Solutions. Today in this video we are going to cover a new topic. So we are going to see how we can create front-end and back-end application all in Visual Studio Code Editor. So we are going to create React.js application, Angular application and Spring Boot project in Visual Studio Code Editor, so that you will have a clear-cut understanding on how we can create different application using different technologies in VS Code Editor. So before we go ahead, these are the prerequisites which you need to install on your system. Like you need to install Visual Studio Code, and this is the link from where you can install. Uh, and you need to have JDK installed on your system, so you can install it from this Oracle link, or you can install or download OpenJDK. Either will do fine. So once you have installed these two, then we can go ahead and here you can see we have various options or editors through which we can create front-end and back-end applications. Like first is the IntelliJ IDEA. So using this we can create front-end and back-end application. Next is a Visual Studio Code. As you know, we can use VS Code editor to create front-end and back-end applications, and there is a Spring Tool Suite editor as well. Ideally, this editor is designed to create Spring Boot backend applications, but at times we can create front-end application as well. There is another tool like editor, like Eclipse editor, which we can use to create front-end and backend application as well. And there are maybe other editors as well, which we can consider in the other category. But most of the time we used to use these four editors most commonly. And in today's video we are going to cover Visual Studio Code editor in depth. Like these are some points which we are going to cover. Like first we will create our React.js application in VS Code editor, and we will create it and run it as well. Next we can create Angular application and run it in VS Code. Next we will create one Spring Boot application using Spring Initializr, and we will create a Spring Boot application using that Initializr, and download that project folder and import it into the VS Code and run it. So basically we are going to see how we can import and run the existing available application in VS Code. Next, we can create a new Spring Boot application from scratch in VS Code and run it. Next, we can see how we can import the existing Angular application and Spring Boot project in VS Code and run both the applications and see the end-to-end result in browser. Next, we can import one React.js existing application along with Spring Boot backend project and run both the applications and see the result end-to-end in browser. So all these points we are going to cover in sequence. So without any further ado, so let us jump into the coding part. So first point, let us create the React.js application using VS Code. So let us go to the command prompt from here. Now to open the VS Code instance, we can use this command code space dot, so that it will open the VS Code instance for this current location. Now we can see it has opened a VS Code instance. Now here is a terminal window. If you want to create a new terminal, we can go it here and create a new terminal, or if we want, we can create a new terminal from here as well. Fine. Now these are the terminals. You can see we have 3 terminals. Here we can clear the screen. Now we are going to create a new React.js application. So let us see how we can create. We can use command npm create with @latest, and here we can name our React.js application. like you can say demo react app. So this is the project name which will get created with this command. We can select react option, next like javascript, and here we can first go to project folder which is a demo react app. Next we need to install the dependencies. We can use this command npm install. Now here we can see so we have installed the dependencies. Now we can run our application using command npm run dev. Now here we can copy this and we can use Ctrl Shift P so that it will open the command palette, and here we can click on simple browser and here we can add this link. Now here we can see our React application is running fine, and it is showing as expected. Now if we click on this button, it will keep on incrementing the count by 1 every time we click this button. Seems good. Our React application is working fine. So with this we have created our new React application in VS Code, and we have seen how we can create a React application and run it in VS Code. Next, like we can create our Angular application and see how we can create and run it in VS Code. Now let me create one more terminal. It here. Here to create an Angular application, we can use command ng new, and here is our application name. Let's say it's a demo Angular app. So we can select CSS, and server side rendering we can say no. It has started installing the packages. We can see the packages installed successfully. Now we can go to the project folder, which is like demo Angular app. Now we can run our application using command ng-serve-o. It will launch our application into the browser. Can type Y for this one. Now we can see our application is started. Now we can click on this link so that it will open into the browser, or we can copy this link. Yes, our application is running fine. So our Angular application is running fine. Now if you want to open the browser, right here, let us check. Yes, this is our Angular application which we have just created and which is running as expected. It is showing the index.html page as expected. Now this is the index.html page. Seems good. Now this is how we can create Angular application and run it in VS Code editor. Now next thing what we can do, we can create one Spring Boot project using Spring Initializr. So first of all we can go to Spring Initializr, and here we can click on this link and it will open the home page here, and here we can select various options. Like for creating a new Spring project, we can select the Java language, and here we have Spring Boot option. By default it is selecting 3.3.5. we can keep as is. Now here we can say group, we can change com.demo, and application name we can give as an uh, let's say demo Spring app, and this is the demo project, we can keep as is. And for package name we can keep com.demo, and for packaging we can select jar, and Java version we can keep 17 as is, as default. And once everything is done, here we need to add the dependencies. Like we can add, let's say Spring Web, we can add from here. And once that is there, if you want to add any other dependency, we can do as such using this add dependency. Now once everything is done, you can click on this generate button, so that it will generate a project for us. Now we can save our we can save the project. Now here is already existed, so let me delete this so that it will create a new one. Okay, now fine. Now it has started downloading the project. Now we can see it is downloading is completed. Now let us go to the project folder, and this is the project folder. Now here we can extract this project folder from here. Let's say we need to select it, and we can extract the project folder. Now here we can give the exact location where we want to add it. Now let us say this is where we have created our React and Angular application. At the same place we can create Spring Boot application. Now this is the now we can see it is showing the Spring Boot application as expected. And here this is the folder structure, and this is the main file from where we are running our Spring Boot application. Now here it is showing the run option, run Java. If that is not showing, you need to install the extensions. Like first extension you need to install, which is the Spring. You can install Spring Boot extension pack. It has all three extensions like Spring Initializr, Java, support Spring Boot dashboard, and Spring Boot tool and all. So you need to install it. I have already installed it, and it is showing what all these three packs it has. So instead of installing individual extension, we can directly install this Spring Boot extension pack. That's it. Next thing what we can do, like we need to install Java extension as well. So this is the extension pack for the Java which we need to install, and it has all these extension packages available. So once we install it, it will be available for us in this VS Code. Now after this, like you will see, you will find this Spring Boot dashboard panel or panel, and here it has three sections like apps, bins, and endpoints. Here it will show the applications. Like if we have created multiple applications, it will show all them here. If you have, and here under bin section it will show you all the bins we have created, and under endpoint mapping section it will show all the APIs which we have created in our application. So this is about how we can create our Spring Boot application and add necessary extensions so that it will be considered as a Spring Boot project, and we have various options to run this application as such. Okay, now let us run this application by using run Java command and see how it works. Now we can see our application is started successfully and it's showing started demo Spring application as expected. Seems good. This is how we can create a Spring Boot application and run it in VS Code editor. So with this we are done with that option. Now next point we can cover, like we can import one Angular project and Spring Boot backend project and run both the applications and see the result on the browser. Fine. Now here, first of all, let me minimize this editor and let me open one new editor, new VS Code instance. Now we can open new VS Code instance. In that I will show you how we can run Angular application and Spring Boot at the same time. Fine. So here in that, like we have this our Spring hyphen service as a backend application, and this is wherein like we have created controller, entity, repository and all, which is required for this application, and basically we are connecting with the H2 database through this property file. Okay, fine. Now this is our application entry point, which is Spring student service application.java, and if you go to it here, like this is the Spring Boot dashboard. Now let us check what all things it will show. Okay, so till the time it will load, let us run our application and see how it goes. Now here, this is our main class. Now here is the option for run Java. It has started running. Now we can see that this is the application and our application name is student service, and these are beans we have created inside this application, and these are the endpoints, like what all APIs we have created. This is the get API, this is the post API, delete, get and patch. So all these APIs it is showing inside this Spring Boot dashboard. Now let us see. I have already hit the run button. Now once it is completed, it will show our application in a running mode. Now it is you can see the console log it here. Now in terminal it is showing, yes, we can see our application has started successfully in 17.813 milliseconds, which seems good. For seconds it is showing, that means our application has started and it is showing the message as expected. Now this is how we can import our existing Spring Boot application and run in VS Code editor. Now next thing what we can do, we can import our front-end application and we can run that as well. So this is our Angular application which is there. Now here we can go to another term, we can open one more terminal. So let us do that from here, new terminal. Okay, let us clear it. Now here we can run our application using command -o. Now first we need to go to our project folder, which is student-web Angular. Now we can run this command -o to launch our application in browser. So it is saying like already that port application is running on that port. Okay, so let me close the existing application which is there in our existing application, Angular application which is running somewhere. Yes, we need to close this. Let us check where we can close this React application as well. Fine. Now all these applications we have closed. Now let us rerun this using command -o. Yes, you can see. Now we can click on this URL and it has opened in browser. Now here if we inspect, it is showing inside console, it is not showing any data as such. Now the reason behind, like this is our student service and it is pointing to our H2 database, and H2 database will not retain any data. So it will just keep the data as long as our application is running, because it's a in-memory data. Now we need to create some records so that we can see all those records in a browser. Now for that we need to first open our console, like this is H2 console we need to open, and what port we are using, which is here we need to open the properties file, and here port is 8085, and this is the student master database, and this is the username and password. All these details we can use to connect with the H2 console or to connect to the database, actual database. Now this is the student master database. What we have done, we have changed the port 8085, which is our port, and this is the database, and this is the username of ours. Now we can type dev@123, which is the password for this. Seems good. It is connecting to the database. Now we need to copy some record. As we have copy, we can copy this record and add it here, and we can simply run it. Now let us check if those are added. Seems good. We have 15 records in the database. Now let us refresh the browser and check if it is working as expected or not. Seems good. It is showing all the data which we have just inserted, and here is the pagination which is showing the next 5 records as such. Seems good. And if you want to search anything, like let's say Peter, fine. So everything is working fine. So what we have done, we have created imported one Angular backend Spring backend application first. Next we have imported our Angular application, and we run on both the applications and see the results on the browser. That means import front end and backend is working as expected. Now next thing, like we can run our import our React application and run it and see the results. Now let me close this first. Our this running application of Angular. Now let me create a new terminal it here, and this is our React application. Now first of all, let me check here. I have simply stopped my application it here. Seems good. This is the Angular application we have stopped because we are going to run our React application it here. Now we need to go to the React project folder first by using student web and React. This is our project folder. Now we can run our application using command npm run dev. Fine. Now we can click on this button URL. Now we can see our application is running fine, and it has calling the backend data as well. And if we click on next button, it will show the next 5 records. Likewise, it will keep on showing the next 5 records as such. If you want to search anything like, let's say, ria, seems good. Now let's say we want to search for maths. Fine. Now this is about how our Spring Boot application is Spring Boot and React application we can import and run in VS Code, and run both the application and see the results in the browser. Fine. So with this we are done with our all the points. And there is another point, like if you want to create our new like new Spring Boot application from VS Code itself. So what we can do, like here is our uh, we can go to command palette, and we can use Spring Initializr, and here we can see Spring Initializr and add starter, and here we can add the dependencies and go ahead, and we can mention all the points like for Java and Spring Boot version, and for these metadata options, packaging and Java version. And once that is done, we can click on next. It will create a new project in VS Code itself. So that's it about today's video. So I hope you must have enjoyed this video. So please like and subscribe the same. Thank you so much for watching this.